Hello my friends, and welcome to this next video in the series where we shall be looking at arrays in JavaScript. So imagine you have a very big box where you can put many smaller things inside of it. In JavaScript, an array is just like that big box. It can hold many different pieces of information like numbers or words, and it can even hold other smaller boxes inside of it. The items stored inside of an array has a position that corresponds to a number, that is an index. So the first thing you have inside of an array is at the position or index of 0. The one following it is at the index of 1, and the one next to it is at an index of 2, and so on and so forth. Arrays are great for keeping lots of items organized and easy to access inside of the code. So now, let's turn to JavaScript code, that is, let's go to our Visual Studio Code and see how we can begin to declare an array and use it in our code. An array in JavaScript is represented by the square bracket notation. So you can see this square bracket right here, the opening and the closing square bracket, as your array. In this case, there is nothing yet inside of this array. So this is an empty array or an empty box. And now we can begin to store things inside of this array. Let's say we want to store a string. So I can store a string that says $10 billion. And I can even store more things. So if I want to store another thing or another item inside of this array, I can just give a comma right here and store something else. I can store $20 billion, like so. And I can give a comma to store another item. I can store a number, let's say 34. I can store another number, let's say 1. And in fact, I can even store a function inside of an array. So I can give a fat arrow function. I can do something like parentheses equals and then the arrow and then like this. So right here, I have about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 items inside of this array. And like I said before, each item in the array has a position or an index. So the first item, which is this $10 billion, is at the position or index of 0. The second one right here, the $20 billion, is at the position of 1. This one is at the position of 2. This one is at the position of 3. And this one is at the position of 4. So this is how things are stored inside of an array. The next thing I can do actually is to declare a variable and store this array instead of that variable. So I can say something like let items equals the array right here. What I'm going to do so that we are able to see everything at once is to actually bring this to the next line. Now, this is on the next line, right? But we know that items is equals this array, which has all of these things inside of it. So I'm going to save this file, and as soon as I save and come to the browser's console, I'm going to try to access this item. So I'm going to say items. So right here in my console, you can see the array right here. So we have the $10 billion, $20 billion, 34, 1, and this F, which represents a function. This number you're seeing right here is indicating that we have about 5 items inside of this array. Now, if I were to access the first item inside of this array, I will do something like items and then open a square bracket, and then I can type 0, because remember, the first item inside of this array is at the index of 0. So when I do something like this, I get $10 billion back, like so. If I wanted to access the $20 billion, since the $20 billion is at index of 1, so I can say items 1, and then we get $20 billion. So that's how I can begin to access the items inside of this array. And an array also has something called a length property, which is the number of items inside of the array. So currently there are about 5 items, the $10 billion, $20 billion, 34, 1, and a function. So we're going to get 5 printed out if we try to access the length of this array. So if I say items dot length, you see that we get 5 printed on the console. So next up, let's actually begin to see how we can manipulate the things or the items inside of an array.
Please, my friends, like my videos and subscribe to my channel. It will go a long way in helping me to create videos like this.